Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Friday Night Smackdown review. And this is going to be a review of this past Friday's edition of Smackdown, which was the January 17th edition. And this Smackdown was from the Greensboro Coliseum in Greensboro, North Carolina. And originally I was going to do this review yesterday, but wasn't feeling that good after I came home from work. So decided to do the review today. It's Sunday, and next week is the Royal Rumble. We are 7 days away from the Royal Rumble, which is taking place next Sunday. But SmackDown on Friday, thought this show sucked. This was a garbage show. This show was lifeless. And these SmackDown shows, in my opinion, have been getting worse and worse ever since, they debuted on Fox. Fox should be embarrassed by the $1 billion, that they pay WWE to put, SmackDown on their network. I would be embarrassed if I was Fox. But anyways, let's get on with the SmackDown review. So, SmackDown opened up on Friday, and guys, what year is this? What year is this? Is this 1997 or 2020? 2020. And I say that because the show opened up with Kane. Yes, Kane. The Big Red Machine. Kane. The Undertaker's brother, Kane. You all know. So, Kane came out, made like a little appearance on SmackDown. I'm like, why? Did you all ask for Kane to be on SmackDown? Really? What is this? We have a Monday Night Raw. We have the Big Show on there. And now Kane on SmackDown? Like, what year is this? So, Kane ended up coming to the ring. He was wearing his red mask. Kane got on the mic. He ended up saying, we're just 9 days away from the Royal Rumble, which that was Friday. Now we're 7 days away from the Rumble. And Kane ended up talking about, the Royal Rumble match. 30 people, of course, put their bodies on the line. Whoever wins, gets to go to WrestleMania. Gets to fight in the main event at WrestleMania. And Kane ended up bragging about his Rumble match eliminations record. And he ended up saying that he realizes how important the Royal Rumble match is. Kane ended up saying that WrestleMania dreams have turned to nightmares, all because of him. He says he has to admit, it was a lot of fun. So, the promo that he cut was awful, in my opinion. And now this is where I started to enjoy this segment, because after Kane finished, the Firefly Funhouse came on the big screen. Bray Wyatt appeared. Bray Wyatt ended up acknowledging Kane. Bray ended up saying that it's not nice to brag on other people's bad times. He ends up calling Kane a big red bully. So Bray Wyatt, assured everyone that Ramblin' Rabbit was, is still alive and well. He ends up saying that Ramblin' Rabbit is recovering after what happened to him last week. Ramblin' Rabbit, we saw he was hooked up to, an IV with, some concoction. So Bray Wyatt ended up saying that winning the Royal Rumble is a great idea, especially if the winner challenges for the Universal Championship at WrestleMania. Then we see Bray Wyatt ends up pointing to a picture of Kane on, his wall. And Kane's eyes, were crossed out, had 2 X's on them. Bray Wyatt ended up saying that, if his picture is up there, that means he and The Fiend got it on. So Kane ended up acknowledging that. Bray Wyatt was shown, it looked like he was getting serious. And we saw, flashes of Bray Wyatt and Kane's, history together. Bray Wyatt ended up saying that he will never forget Kane. And neither will he forget. Of course, The Fiend. So, the lights went down in the arena. Kane was looking all around. So, it's all dark in the arena. And of course, the Virtual Boy, the red lights come on. The Virtual Boy is turned on. And Kane is shown standing on the outside of the ring. And he's looking up the ramp. And we see The Fiend appear from a hole in the ring. The Fiend ends up crawling out of the hole, crawls to the ropes. Kane ends up turning around, stares at The Fiend. Kane gets back on the mic, and he asks, "What took you so long? What took, them so long?" The Fiend, pauses there, steps back, and Daniel Bryan is in the ring, comes out of nowhere, levels The Fiend with a running knee, and the Fiend ended up turning around, and Daniel Bryan ended up hitting The Fiend with the running knee. The Fiend went to escape, go back through the hole in the ring. Daniel Bryan was still trying to fight him. He was crawling at The Fiend. Daniel Bryan comes, back up from the hole, had, a handful of The Fiend's dreadlocks, and, pretty much that was basically, what happened. Daniel Bryan ended up standing tall. The red light was still there. The Virtual Boy still turned on. And why I called when The Fiend has a match and him and his opponents have when the red light is shown. The Virtual Boy. If you ever had the Virtual Boy, that flopped console from Nintendo, and you looked inside with and you saw red. That's why I call The Fiend's red light in the Virtual Boy, because it's like you're watching the match from the Virtual Boy. You look inside, and you see the redness. If you all remember, if you all had the Virtual Boy. So Daniel Bryan ended up looking around, joins in, on the yes chants from the crowd. Lights came back on. Thank fucking God that they came back on. No more of this red lighting. And Kane entered the ring, and he got another yes chant. So it was cool, a little reunion with Team Hell No, with Daniel Bryan and Kane. So that was pretty cool, and that's how the segment ended. But really enjoyed, really liked the other segment right here when Bray Wyatt came on and The Fiend made an appearance. Daniel Bryan ended up laying out The Fiend with the running knee. I liked it. Even though, aside from Kane's awful promo, then we had Kayla Braxton. Daniel Bryan and Kane were walking. Kayla Braxton stops Daniel Bryan backstage for an interview. Daniel Bryan tells Kayla that a lot of people think The Fiend is good at mind games and getting the best of people. He says, but he's really the best at running away. So Daniel Bryan said, how do you beat someone who disappears every time they're in trouble? He says he's got an idea. He says it's not a good idea and really not a smart idea. So Daniel Bryan ended up challenging The Fiend to a strap match at the Royal Rumble. And Daniel Bryan ended up saying that they will each have one end of the strap and will go to war until one man wins. And Daniel Bryan ended up talking about how he understands what could happen to him. He says he's done with the games and The Fiend escaping down the hole every time he gets in trouble. Daniel Bryan said The Fiend changed him, but at the Royal Rumble, he will change The Fiend and win the Universal Championship. So there you go. Daniel Bryan versus The Fiend, strap match at the Royal Rumble. I mean, it's been a while since we've seen a strap match. It's been a while since WWE put on a strap match. I can't remember the last strap match that they done. I think it was maybe like Umaga, because I remember Umaga, which may he rest in peace. Umaga and I think CM Punk. I think that took place at Extreme Rules. I forgot what year it was, but I remember that was the last time that they had a strap match. And then I remember they had Eddie Guerrero versus JBL. Remember that? That was like a Texas, I think it was a Texas bull rope match, but it was still a strap match. But I remember that. That was actually a pretty good match between JBL and Eddie Guerrero. So, like I said, it's been a while since WWE put on a booked a strap match. Then we had John Morrison versus Big E. John Morrison back in the WWE ring in a match. Of course, came out with The Miz. John Morrison came out with The Miz. And the match itself, it was meh at best. I mean, it was cool seeing John Morrison here back in the ring. And the match ended, and Morrison botched his finishing maneuver, the Starship Pain. So he went to the top, he did the move, and then he missed Big E doing the Starship Pain. Might as well call it the botch ship pain here, because, like I said, he botched the fucking finisher. So John Morrison ended up winning with the botch ship pain. Let's hope when he's in the next match that he has, hopefully he doesn't botch the Starship Pain, or else that would be his new finishing move that I would call it, the botch ship pain. All in all, very meh match. Then we had the Usos. The Usos were backstage. They were with Roman Reigns. The Usos asked what Roman's stipulation for the Rumble will be. He says they will find out when everyone else does. Roman ended up saying that he's been training in the yard, but he wonders if the Usos are ready for what they have in store. So they said they are hyped up for the revival, and they walk off of the match. The Usos end up saying that. So the Usos and Roman end up welcoming the revival to the Uso Penitentiary, and that was basically that. And then we had the Usos versus the Revival, and what more can I say about the match? I mean, before the Usos, left and went on this long hiatus, these were the same guys that they were taking on. So there was nothing new. in this match. We've seen the Usos and the Revival before. Nothing, anything new here. So the Usos won the match. Jimmy Uso ended up hitting a splash from the top onto Dash Wilder. There you go. The Usos end up winning the match. I mean, what can I say? Nothing new. Nothing new that I saw in this match. We've seen the Usos and the Revival before. Moving on. We saw the Revival. They were backstage. Caleb Braxton ended up stopping them and asked if they're frustrated with another loss. And Scott Dawson says if the company will make a change, then the Revival will have to make some kind of change. Yeah, this company won't make any changes. WWE won't make any changes. How many times have us fans asked for change and they never listen? There's no change with this company. There's no changes on Smackdown. There's no changes on Monday Night Raw. No change. How many times are we going to say, how many times are, us fans are going to say, we want change. We want change with WWE. And, WWE, they never listen to their fans. So, yeah, the Revival ended up saying that they will have to make some kind of change. And Dash Wilder says, we hear a fight, says something similar. So, yeah, the Revival, they when their contract is up, they're leaving the company. Hope they do. I hope they don't resign. I hope that they don't resign with WWE. It'd be great if they sign. Everybody will predict it. Once their contracts are up, they're AEW bound. Because the Revival just trademarked their finishing move, the Shatter Machine. So they end up trademarking that. Which is good on their part. So, but once their contracts are up, they're AEW bound. Think of all the awesome matches that they would have in AEW with their tag team division. So then we saw a fight happening backstage. Camera comes over and we see Lacey Evans beating up on Sasha Banks. Sasha is, down. Looks like, Sasha ended up, hurting her leg. Bayley ended up coming over and, then officials came to get, Lacey Evans away. And that was basically, that. Then we saw Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville backstage. Mandy Rose said that she's excited about Sonya's match, and says Mandy Rose was right last week. Or, sorry about that. Sonya was right about last week. Got my notes all mixed up here. She said that this is the year of fire and desire. Sonya ended up asking if Mandy thinks Otis might want to be at ringside for a match tonight. Mandy ended up saying, why? And Sonya ends up saying that she didn't get the Otis thing before. But after seeing Otis out there helping Mandy win last week, Sonya ended up getting it. So, Sonya, just wants Mandy to ask Otis if he will be at ringside. And that was basically that, though. But Mandy Rose and Otis, it's the only good thing on this show. Only good thing happening on SmackDown and on WWE TV. Otis and Mandy Rose are, I said this times before, Mandy Rose and Otis are the best thing and they're better than what Lana and Bobby Lashley and Rusev are doing on Monday Night Raw. Then we saw Bayley and Sasha. They were in the trainer's room. Find out that Sasha has a hurt ankle. Bayley is pissed, and Bayley threatens to turn Lacey into a stay-at-home mom. So then, one of the producers, WWE producer Adam Pearce, I think that's how you pronounce his last name, comes in and he comments on Sasha failing to deliver, on the match once again. So Adam Pearce tells that it's going to be Bayley versus Lacey Evans, and it's going to be non-title, and the match is going to be happening. So Bayley and Sasha weren't happy about that. Then we had Lacey Evans versus Bayley. Boring match, in my opinion. Back and forth between them. Lacey won the match. Woman's right to Bayley. Lacey Evans wins. Moving on. See, nothing good happened on the show on Friday. The show was so lifeless. So then we had a new WWE backstage, announcer, whatever. Her name is Lacey Ashton, I think that's how you pronounce her name. May have pronounced it wrong, though. But she was backstage with Chad Gable. And she ended up asking Chad Gable why Sheamus returned and singled him out last week. Chad Gable went on to say that Sheamus's games won't work on him. And the same goes with attacking him while he's down. Chad Gable went on about, saying how to embrace yourself. Sorry about that, but I was saying Chad Gable went on to say about embracing, yourself. He says he knows Sheamus is big and decorated. And Sheamus ends up coming in. He starts acting like he can't see Chad Gable. Once again, making fun of Chad Gable's height. And Sheamus ends up facing off with Chad Gable. Sheamus threatens to knock Chad Gable's head off. And then he pats Chad Gable on the head, ends up calling him a little fella. Chad Gable ends up attacking. Him and Sheamus start brawling. And officials come down. Referees. They end up breaking up the brawl. Sheamus is pissed. And he's destroying stuff. That was basically what happened. Then we had Kayla Braxton. She was interviewing Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman ended up declaring himself for the Royal Rumble match. So Braun Strowman, of course, is going to be in the Royal Rumble match. Braun ended up saying that this is next week. And he wants to talk about Shinsuke Nakamura. So Strowman went on, talked about Nakamura and Sami Zayn. And he says he just wants, a shot. Strowman says that he doesn't care if it's this week or next. He wants his shot at Nakamura. So Strowman ends up, going off. Oh, and then we had poor Elias was in the ring. this whole thing was just a waste of time. Elias ended up saying that he's learned a lot about himself over the last year. He says he realizes he's the full embodiment of WWE, but he can't do it alone. He says the truth is he needs the fans. Elias says, for him to reach where he belongs, he needs voices to ring out all over the world. With the truth that WWE stands for Walk with Elias. The fans end up saying that. So then Elias went on, starts performing his new song called Walking in Greensboro. And just as he's about to perform, he gets interrupted by Sami Zayn, Cesaro, and Shinsuke Nakamura. Sami Zayn was on the mic, says, he hates him to interrupt Elias, but he has something more important to talk about. So the fans were booing at Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn ends up knocking the fans, as the fans booed him. Sami Zayn ends up talking about how Braun Strowman is running around about wanting to fight Nakamura. Sami ended up saying that Nakamura doesn't back down from fights. And Strowman won't have to wait long for his answer. Because the answer is absolutely not. So Sami ended up, ripping on Strowman some more. Says he's in no position to demand anything because we, meaning him, Nakamura, and Cesaro, call the shots around, here. Sami ended up saying nothing will be happening with the Rumble match. So he talks about how Nakamura actually won the Rumble. So Sami warns the entire roster that they are all now on notice. So Sami says he made his point and Elias can now continue. So when Sami Zayn ended up saying that he warns the entire roster that they are on notice, sounds like maybe that Cesaro and Nakamura will be in the Royal Rumble match. So then Elias ended up saying that he was multitasking while Sami Zayn spoke. And he ended up saying he has a new song he just wrote in his head. And that new song that Elias ended up saying was Sami needs to shut his mouth. So then he starts singing Shinsuke sucks. And Elias, starts playing. Sami Zayn ends up interrupting again. Starts yelling at the crowd, everyone. Sami Zayn ended up sending Cesaro into the ring to take care of Elias. Cesaro ran into the ring, starts brawling with Elias. Nakamura ended up hitting the ring. And, Elias ended up, turning it around. So Sami Zayn then comes in, and now it's a 3-on-1 attack. So out came Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman ended up making the save. Strowman ended up taking out Cesaro and Nakamura. He then clotheslines Cesaro over the top rope. Sami Zayn then retreated out of the ring. Wanted nothing to do with Strowman. So Strowman ended up sending Nakamura over the top rope next. Stands tall in the ring. Crowd ended up popping for Strowman. And that was basically, how the segment ended. But this was a waste of time. This was a waste. Did not give a shit what was going on here. So then we had a good tribute video to the late great Rocky Johnson, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson's father. WWE Hall of Famer. Very well done tribute video. Really liked it. So then after that we had Alexa Bliss versus Sonya Deville. Boring, in my opinion. But the only good thing that happened here was Heavy Machinery came out. Otis and Tucker, they both came out. They end up watching the match from the ramp. Alexa Bliss ended up going to grab Sonya Deville. Mandy Rose came on the ring apron to interfere. Nikki Cross ended up running over. She ends up knocking Mandy Rose off the top. Otis ends up catching Mandy Rose on the floor. And you see the hilarious facial expression from Otis from him catching Mandy Rose. Did something with his tongue, which was hilarious, which was funny. And then Alexa ended up taking control, rolled up Sonya Deville. There you go. Alexa Bliss ends up winning the match. That was the only funny thing. That was the only good thing that happened during this match with Mandy Rose falling and Otis ended up catching her. So, but match was boring. So then we saw Robert Roode backstage. And of course, we can't have a Smackdown without King Baron Corbin and Dolph Ziggler. So it's just the same guys in the main event every single week. Roman, Corbin, Dolph. So those three guys we see every week in the main event. It's getting old. It's lazy. It's lazy booking. So Corbin and Dolph hype Roode up. Says they will get payback on Roman Reigns for what he did to Robert Roode several weeks ago. So they wanted about the match that they were having, which was Robert Roode and Roman Reigns versus Robert Roode and Roman Reigns in a tables match. So they go on about the match. Corbin talks about the stipulation that he will choose for Roman at the Royal Rumble, where he will humiliate Roman, and that he's going to take Roman out of the Rumble match and make him bow down to the King. Corbin ended up saying none of that can happen unless Robert Roode wins the match. So when Roode ends up putting Roman through the table, it will be absolutely glorious. So that was that. So then it was announced that it's going to be the strap match for Daniel Bryan versus The Fiend at the Royal Rumble. So this is going to be matches at the Royal Rumble. The strap match was confirmed. It's going to be Chad Gable versus Sheamus. And it's going to be Lacey Evans versus Bayley. It's also going to be confirmed. It's also confirmed for the Rumble. So. Then we had the main event. Robert Roode versus Roman Reigns. Tables match. Roman Reigns came out. Roman, of course, had pyro. And Roman will get to choose the stipulation for his match with Corbin at the Rumble. But if Robert Roode wins, Corbin will choose the stipulation. So then we see Roman walking down the ramp. Roode ends up running down, attacks Reigns from behind to start off the match. They get into the ring. They're brawling. Roman ended up taking control of the match. Roode was on the floor again. Roman ended up going to set a table up on the floor. Robert Roode ended up cutting him off, sends Roman into the steps. Roman ended up turning back around. The announcers, and the announce table was cleared off. Roman was clearing off the announce table. Roode ended up, rocking Roman Reigns, sends Roman into the steps, shoulder first. Roode ended up sliding the table into the ring. Roman ended up dropping Roode with a drive-by. So then, Corbin came out, of course, with his guys. So then we had, this was towards the end of the match. Corbin gets on the apron. Roman ends up swinging Corbin. And Dolph hits the ring. Roman turns around. And Dolph lays Roman out with a super kick. Corbin then enters the ring. And he's pondering on Roman. Referee is just watching. And Dolph ends up clearing off the announce table. Roman then gets sent into the ring post. Corbin and Dolph, lay Roman on the announce table. Robert Roode goes to the top. And the Usos then come out. The Usos run into the ring. Robert Roode leaps at the Usos. And both Jimmy and Jay, they end up laying a double super kick to Robert Roode. So the Usos take out Dolph and Corbin. They end up laying some double dives to Ziggler and Corbin on the floor. Fans were cheering for the Usos for them making the save. The Usos help out Roman, and they lay Dolph on the announce table. The Usos walk to the top of the barricade, and they end up hitting a double splash on Dolph through the announce table. Announce table breaks. Roman then is in the ring, nails a spear on Robert Roode, and Roman ended up putting Roode through the table because of that spear. And so Roman ends up winning the match, which we all knew. We all knew Roman was winning it. So, Roman will then get to announce the stipulation for his match with Corbin at the Royal Rumble. And that's what happened post-match. Post-match, Corbin was throwing a tantrum. And Roman gets on the mic, says the Royal Rumble is in a baseball stadium, which Royal Rumble this year is going to be held at Minute Maid Park. And he says that he's going to beat Corbin all over it. All over Minute Maid Park. Roman announced that their match will now be a Falls Count Anywhere match. So Corbin was throwing a fit. He had he had a specter in his hand, started beating down on the table. And pretty much that's basically how Smackdown ended. So it's going to be Falls Count Anywhere, Roman versus Corbin. But anyways, Smackdown, garbage show, lifeless show it was this week. So nothing great happened. Nothing great happened on the show this week. Only thing good was Otis catching Mandy Rose and seeing Bray Wyatt and The Fiend. And Daniel Bryan laying that running knee to The Fiend. That was it. That was basically it. But anyways, that's it for the SmackDown review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. And definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. There will be no Monday Night Raw review tomorrow night. And the Monday Night Raw review will probably be up on Tuesday. I got to work. I'm working later tomorrow night. So I won't be home to watch Raw. So DVR it. And then the review will go out on Tuesday. Which, surprisingly, I got to say, Monday Night Raw has been better than SmackDown. And even, Monday Night Raw, the show is still horrible, but I've been seeing a little change with Monday Night Raw. With Paul Heyman, being, the backstage there. I hope that this, keeps up. Monday Night Raw. Like I said, Monday Night Raw, to me, been a lot better than SmackDown. But anyways, that's it for the video. Thank you all for watching. The video, thumbs up, comment, subscribe. And until the next video, I'll see you all later.